President Biden was also in the spotlight this week, hosting world leaders at the NATO Summit in Washington. Joining us now is White House National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby. John, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it. So let's go ahead and start with that moment at the NATO Summit when President Biden introduced Ukraine's President Zelensky as President Putin, mixing up their names. Of course, he did correct himself, but you know this comes at this critical time as some are raising questions about President Biden's health, his fitness for office. What does a moment like that do to President Biden's credibility on the world stage?
Well, it doesn't affect his credibility on the world stage one bit. He corrected it, as you rightly noted, and then he went on to have a terrific meeting with President Zelensky about all the ways in which we are supporting Ukraine. In fact, in that meeting, he actually announced another $225 million in support for weapons and equipment. So it's not affecting anything about our support to Ukraine, and certainly nothing about the world stage and American leadership on it.
But as you know, it wasn't just that moment. I mean, later in the day, there was the mix-up with Kamala Harris as vice president and Donald Trump. But I do want to ask you, because there have been reports that other NATO leaders are worried about Biden. Did you witness any of those concerns in these meetings this week?
I did not. As a matter of fact, many of those world leaders came up to the president privately and expressed their great gratitude for his leadership on the world stage, but also more critically, his leadership, his stewardship of the NATO alliance. Under this president now, when he started, when he got elected, 9 countries from the NATO alliance were meeting their 2% spending on gross domestic product on defense, and now 23. So it's more than doubled. When he started, the alliance was at 30 members. Now it's at 32, with Finland and Sweden now members. So the alliance is stronger. It's more resilient. It's more relevant than ever. And that is it's not an accident, and very much in large part due to President Biden's leadership.
And outside of that, John, though, as you know, I think the concern from many in the public is not just what they're seeing out in public, but what's happening in private when it comes to some of these gaffes from the president. From your personal perspective, your interactions with President Biden, have you ever been concerned about his mental acuity or fitness for the job?
No, not once. I can tell you, just in the meetings I'm in, the sessions I have with him, the time that I get to spend with him, I see a commander-in-chief who takes his responsibilities extraordinarily seriously. He knows that we're at an inflection point in history. He understands the dangers and challenges out there. Russia's war in Ukraine, certainly chief among them. And he's doing everything he can to protect the American people and do it in a way that builds on, and I think, frankly, benefits from his long experience in government service and the deep relationships that he has with world leaders.
I do want to turn, while we have you, and ask you about the Middle East and a potential ceasefire deal. President Biden said that Israel and Hamas have agreed to a framework, but still more work to do. How close is a possible deal right now?
Well, we're cautiously optimistic. We believe that we've got this essential framework done, which is not insignificant now. You got both Israel and Hamas have signed up to the framework. That's a big deal. But there are still details that need to be hammered out, and our team is still working with their counterparts in the region to do that. I can't give you a time certain. I don't know how long that process is going to take, but we do believe we're very close. And we also believe that these gaps that remain, these details that still have to be hammered out, are of such a nature that they absolutely can be solved. And so we're cautiously optimistic. We're hopeful. We really do want to get this over the finish line.
So many hopeful around the world and so much at stake. John Kirby, as always, thank you for your time this morning. We appreciate it.